AITA for my response to my friend's confession after she rejected me. I don't expect you to like or agree with what I am about to say, but it has always been the way I am, and I've never lied about it. My friends have known this about me for years, and it just feels like they want me to break my principles for the sake of doing it, which feels toxic to me. I am pretty sure I am in the right, but my friends strongly disagree, so I wanted to ask for outside opinions. I've always been prideful, to what some would call a fault, but I would call the lack of pride I witnessed the same if I was being brutally honest, an a-hole. So maybe we're just different people. I've had the same friend group for most of my life, we're all mid-20s. I do not believe in the whole break up get back together, or the yes no thing. If you say you don't want me, end of story, we can close that book and get back to where we were, no problem, and I won't bring it up again. 6-ish weeks ago, I finally got up the courage to ask out my best friend, someone I had feelings for a long time before this. She wasn't interested, and I accepted that right away, because why would I not? We've been friends for a long time, and I didn't expect anything from her. I did distance myself for just a little bit, to get over the awkwardness, but within a little over a week, it was like nothing happened, and I was glad. At least, until this last weekend, where during a sleepover with all of our friends at my place, she kissed me. No one else was paying attention, and I was kind of in shock, so I just pulled away, and shook my head. I honestly figured she was plastered and that would be the end of it. We all had been drinking a lot, and I wasn't even going to bring it up. Next morning, I wake up, and she, as well as a couple of our friends are gone. The ones that were still there were really angry. No matter how I try to explain where I'm coming from, I'm apparently not understanding how hard it was for her to confess, and that she felt humiliated by my reaction. I told them that they all knew how I felt about this kind of thing, and they started talking about how it was a different situation, and that my response was heartless. Comments. NTA. What the heck is wrong with your friends? Rejecting a kiss by pulling away and shaking the head is heartless now? Do they think you have to accept any approach by a woman? Assuming the way you described the situation is accurate, you didn't humiliate her, you just rejected her, which is totally fine. Comment. On top of that, he thinks no one saw. Which means she was the one who told everyone. She can be embarrassed about the rejection, but she humiliated herself. Comment. NTA, what in the grade school shenanigans is this? She rejects you, then changes her mind and kisses you without saying anything? Weird. OP, to be fair to her, and I mentioned this in another comment, when we were young we made out, messed around some when we would drink or smoke, but also, we haven't done that since we were teenagers, so it was still unexpected for me. It's also why I didn't take it seriously at all. I thought she was plastered and horny, and that she thought I was plastered and horny. Not a crime, and not something I even thought was worth bringing up, honestly. Comment. It seems cruel for her to confess that way then. 'Cause why would you assume this time was different from all the other previous times? I think NTA, and she probably has a lot of people on her side because she told her version first. Talk to your closer friends and start explaining your side again. If they still disagree, it might be time to step away a bit. Either way, unless you dramatically jumped back while gasping and pushing her away, I don't think your reaction was at all mean or harsh. Update, 4 days later. I promised a couple of people an update if there was one, other than me just losing almost all of my friends in one go, and to my surprise there is. Though at the same time, I'm mostly posting this for me, shouting into a void, because I feel slightly rock bottom right now, and my gut is telling me to quit my job, pack my shit and leave the state, leave this half of the country, TBH, because life here is unsalvageable for me. I got a family out west who'd let me stay for a while, and every second I consider it, it seems like a better idea. I also wanted to start by saying I would like to explain my position a little bit better, so just skip the next 2 paragraphs if you don't want to hear it. Tried to make your starting point easy to find. Sorry if it didn't work, but I do want the chance to explain myself a little better. I was a wreck writing the first one, and looking back over it, I didn't give many details regarding my reasons, or how I feel about it, outside of avoiding the situations. I do not view myself as an epic badass or whatever else everyone was commenting on the last post. In fact, I do understand that to many, this is a pretty fatal flaw in my personality. I have accepted that for a lot of people, that opinion is one that cuts off the possibility of friendship. It sucks, but I also don't want to change myself or force myself into uncomfortable situations, just because people don't like a part of me. I am very accepting of others' views on the situation, and completely agree that my own can seem rigid. I don't blame people for disagreeing. I think that plenty of people could have a wonderful relationship in that situation. I only even brought this up because it matters to the story. However, I also know that when it comes to relationships, it would not be fair to either party, in a case like this. I know for a fact I would never fully know that I wasn't a backup option, or that they aren't just saying yes because it's convenient now. I don't want those kinds of thoughts in my head, and I don't want to constantly feel like I have to prove I am worth it in a relationship. I have more pride, or maybe as others have said, self-respect is better wording. It isn't meant as a gotcha, or to punish the other person in any way. It's because even if I still have romantic feelings, I genuinely don't think the relationship is a good idea anymore. Anyway, for the actual update. After almost a full week of radio silence, she replied to my texts and asked if we could meet and talk. I asked where she wanted to meet, and she said my place, I assume for privacy, which is cool. I know a lot of people were talking about her trying to set me up for crimes and stuff, but I'm not really worried about that, from her. I just don't think she would. She isn't vindictive. So when she got here, and we sat down, I pretty much just told her that I was so confused about everything that I didn't even know what to make of all that happened, and I asked her to tell me what happened from her point of view. There were two differences between her version, and my version that I picked up on, which may well have been accurate. I was plastered and they aren't huge differences, but at the same time, I can see how it would be embarrassing. She claims that after I pulled away I made a face like I was grossed out. Afterwards she said I shifted to leaning away from her, for the rest of the movie, and it just made it worse. I don't remember either of them, but again, drunk. Not gonna deny it, I have little control over my face when I smoke or drink, and I absolutely could have made a face without realizing it, just out of shock. I apologized for that and assured her I wasn't disgusted, just shocked as hell, and also assuming it was a drunk mistake kind of thing. Hell, we've all done stupid shit drunk, no big deal. It was only the next morning when I was bum-rushed with accusations before I even got a morning piss that I was told it was meant to be any kind of hint or whatever. She did look really embarrassed at that point and told me she hadn't thought about it that way, and just thought it would be more simple than everything else. I decided, against my better judgment, to ask the question everyone here told me I needed to ask. Why did she actually reject me at first, and what caused her to change her mind? That's when things got really uncomfortable, and I could tell she didn't want to tell me, but eventually, she did. Apparently, her parents are more bigoted than she or anyone else led me to believe, so in her own words, telling them we were in a relationship wouldn't be worth it, since I came out. I am non-binary, and she said they haven't liked me since then but stay civil for her sake. Meaning that they would just trash-talk me whenever I left. Which is really frustrating and embarrassing, considering all I've done for that family over the years. She was scared that dating would push them too far, and they'd cut her off from their lives. She said that she'd hoped maybe we could try dating on DL, and if things got serious enough then she could. I pretty much just told her I had a lot to think about and asked her if I could have some time. She agreed and left, and I don't know if I'm more furious, or embarrassed, or hurt. Why didn't she tell me before now they were saying that kind of shit about me? What kind of friend does that? I'm not saying she had to cut them off or stop seeing them, I totally understand weird dynamics with parents, believe me, but maybe tell me that they have an open disgust and hatred for my existence before I decide to help them with household chores and treat them like I would family. I mean, I grew up with these people. For God's sake, I thought of her mother as a better one to me than my own, not a high bar, but she was doing cartwheels 50 feet over it in my eyes. I am so sick to my stomach with grief. I'm pretty sure we aren't going to be able to be friends anymore, and it just hurts. I grew up with her, she is the first person other than my dad I came out to, and I never ever thought there would be anything she would do that I couldn't forgive her for, but making a fool out of me for years, then suggesting we date quietly so her family doesn't have to know she's with the local freak show just feels way too far. I want to forgive her, but she's not even sorry, she didn't even apologize for anything. I want to see her reasons, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, but it just hurts. I'm not sure if I wish I hadn't followed the advice or not, right now, even though I know it's better to know. I am glad, at least, that I will know to stop wasting time, labor, and money on people who hate me. But to know that they hate me is so painful. Comments. For God's sake, I thought of her mother as a better one to me than my own, not a high bar, but she was doing cartwheels 50 feet over it in my eyes. Along with everything else, this must suck like hell. So sorry for you, OP. If she wasn't even willing to stand up to you with her family, then it was probably the best decision to not be involved with her. And certainly not now. OP, yeah, a romantic relationship is entirely off the table. I'm trying to wait to speak to my therapist before I do anything rash, but I do not want to be here anymore, and I'm just scared it's gonna get worse. I have cried so much over her mom since we spoke. She's the one who helped with my homework, who took me to the doctor when I was sick and made sure I had enough to eat, and now she just hates me? It feels so unfair. Comment. So your friend came over, she explained her embarrassment and interpretation of what happened. She took on your view on what happened and how you were ambushed in the morning and how everyone got mad at you. Now that she knows all this, is she gonna smooth it out with everyone else and get them to apologize to you? Are you gonna be accepted in the friends group again? Are things gonna go back to the way they were? I get that her family is bigoted, that you are frustrated how they view you and how she wanted a relationship on the DL. Her family is a new, second issue she's raised. But that's separate from your first issue, losing your entire friend network on top of that, and she's responsible for that. For isolating you and turning everyone against you. She needs to reframe you pulling away from her kiss as not a rejection, but you not taking advantage of someone who was intoxicated and confused as to her actions after rejecting you. Assigning it to drunk mistake is fair enough, but recognizing that in the moment and acting like a gentleman and not taking advantage of her was the right thing to do. Especially since she didn't verbalize anything related it to her just going for the kiss, which, BTW, wasn't a confession, it was just lobbing the gob. A confession uses words. OP, the hateful messages have stopped, but no one has apologized, and I'm keeping them muted for now just in case they get angry again. I don't know. I get the feeling they just want to pretend they didn't say that shit, and that isn't happening. Also, that's an assumption, and you know what assumptions do, so take it with a grain of salt. Maybe they feel bad and want to reach out, maybe they're waiting for something, I just want to give that benefit of the doubt because I am trying not to think the worst of everyone right now. Comment. Wow. I'm so sorry. This is completely different to what I was expecting, and honestly, I think this is the best and worst outcome. It's good that you two were able to sit down and sort through your issues without any drama. On the other hand, finding out that her parents whom you grew up with and view as family actually despises you, is heartbreaking. I'm really sorry about what you're going through, and there are people out there cheering you on. Comment. Very sorry for your pain. This kind of SHT can feel worse than when someone you love dies. This relationship died because of their hate and they accepted your care, work and money. What a disgusting betrayal. I'm so sorry. OP, I honestly just can't face it. Part of me wants to reach out and say something to them, but even if I did I know I would just be the one who caused a scene. Comment. I'm not in favor of ghosting normally, but in this case I think moving west and ghosting everyone seems like a really good idea. There is no point in talking to people like that, Imo. Please get therapy. You are perfect just the way you are. Let go of the SHTTY people who live in small worlds. Sending you internet mom hugs. OP, thank you, really. I've been in therapy for a while, stuff with my mom, actually, but if I move I'll find a new one. This just feels like I lost a mom, even if I never had a decent one, anyway. My mom was a lot, and I didn't know who my father was until I was in high school. Dad is complicated seems like the best way to put it. Not getting into that, not even important right now, but you know, I've always tried to be someone that family could be proud of. I knew they weren't super happy with me coming out, but I figured that it was more because they were older and didn't understand, or something. I just hate it. Sorry, word vomit I know. I'm just still emotional, and I don't really have people to talk to.